It began with a sound no one could explain. A deep hum rolled across the night sky, low, steady, and endless in the cities below. Windows rattled. Dogs barked without reason. Some thought it was an earthquake. Others said it was thunder. But Captain Ryan Vale knew better. He stood inside the Orbital Defense Command Tower, staring at the radar screen. The readings made no sense. Hundreds of unknown objects were entering Earth's orbit. Fast and silent. No radio signal, no response, no identification. The control room buzzed with confusion. Technicians shouted across consoles. Every satellite feed was flickering, one by one. And then the main communication grid went dark. The world above had gone silent. Ryan clenched his fists. "Report," he ordered, but no one answered. The signal screens were static. The radar waves bounced off something massive, something moving in formation. 02:43 a.m. The first beam struck. It came down from the clouds like a spear of blue fire. It hit the Pacific, and the ocean exploded. The shockwave reached California within seconds. Thousands of lights went out across the coast. The earth shook. The sky cracked. From the balcony of the command tower, Ryan saw it, a burning line stretching across the horizon. Like the world itself was splitting open. It was not lightning, it was not natural. The invaders had arrived. Every global defense unit received the same message. The signal repeated on all frequencies. In all languages, it said only 3 words: surrender or perish. The Voryn Dominion had spoken. No one on Earth knew who they were, but the way their ships hung above the clouds, cold and silent, made it clear they were not explorers. They were executioners. Ryan's team scrambled to launch interceptors. But before any could reach orbit, energy pulses rained from above. Each beam turned steel to dust and glass to sand. The sky burned with silent explosions. No sound followed. Only light cities vanished under glowing clouds across the world. Power grids failed, satellites fell, the night turned red. But under the frozen ground of Alaska, deep inside a mountain facility known as Erebus Base, something ancient woke up. Generators rumbled, metal doors unlocked. A hidden project that was never meant to exist began to stir. It was called the Silent Fleetback in the control tower. Ryan's communicator flashed. A single message appeared from Deep Command. "Activate Protocol, Cinder. Do not retreat." He froze. That order had never been used before. Protocol, Cinder meant only one thing: Earth was going to fight back. He turned to his second officer. Mara, her face was pale under the red emergency light. "They want us to launch," she whispered. Ryan nodded. "Then we launch. The defense satellites might be gone. The main fleet might be destroyed. But below the ice there were ships, old ones, hidden ones, steel beasts built decades ago in secret ships no one believed were real. Until now, he typed the code into the terminal. A deep rumble echoed through the ground. The old engines of Erebus roared to life, breaking their long silence in the frozen tunnels. Walls of frost cracked open. Dark metallic hulls slid from their chambers. Their lights flickered awake, crimson, angry, alive for the first time in history. Humanity's last defense moved without permission from any government. They moved because there was no one left to ask. Outside, the alien fleet drifted above the planet like a crown of death. Their ships were shaped like blades, thousands of them, each one glowing with the same blue fire that had broken. The sky. Ryan stared at the live feed. "Why are they waiting?" Mara asked. He watched the alien formation. They were scanning, observing, almost studying Earth's silence. "They think we are running," Ryan said quietly, "but they're wrong." The silent fleet began to rise through the ice. Their engines shook the mountains. Snow melted from the peaks as metal titans broke free. Massive ships painted in black armor, built for a war humanity swore would never come. In the command room, alarms echoed, and crew rushed to their stations. Power surged through old circuits one by one. The ships connected to command, their IDs blinked online. Cinder 1, Cinder 2, Cinder 3. Active. Ryan stepped to the microphone. "This is Captain Ryan Vale. "Commanding Fleet Cinder," he said. His voice was steady now, filled with something the aliens would never understand. "Rage Earth does not surrender." Outside, the first silent fleet ships broke through the clouds. They rose into the dark sky like burning arrows. For a moment, the people on the ground saw hope, real, bright, alive and in orbit. The alien sensors detected the launch. Their formation began to shift. Energy spikes rose on every side. They were preparing to strike again, but Ryan was already moving. "Launch sequence complete," Mara said, target locked. He looked at her, then at the burning clouds. "Then we hit them first." The first human missiles screamed upward. The night sky turned white with fire. The aliens answered back, lighting the heavens in blue. The world trembled again, but this time it was not from fear, it was from defiance. Because on that night, when the sky broke, humanity did not run. It burned back harder. The mountains of Alaska trembled that morning. From the frozen ground, metal giants rose, their engines shaking the snow from the peaks. The world above was burning, but deep under the ice, the silent fleet had awakened. Captain Ryan Vale stood on the bridge of his ship, the ECS Vengeance, staring through the frost-covered viewport. The black hull of his destroyer gleamed with red lights. Steam hissed from the walls as power systems came alive after decades of silence. Mara, his second officer, moved beside him, checking systems one by one. "Engines are unstable," she said, her voice tight. "These ships have been buried for 40 years. We don't even know if they can fly." Ryan looked at the ceiling, where frost fell from the metal pipes. "They'll fly," he said quietly. "Because if they don't, we're already dead." Above them, the enemy fleet spread across the sky like a second layer of clouds. Blue lights blinked in the heavens, scanning, hunting. The Voryn Dominion controlled Earth's orbit now. Every hour, their beams fell somewhere new. New York, Cairo, Shanghai, cities vanished in flashes of white. The world was falling piece by piece. But beneath the ice, inside Erebus Base, engineers, soldiers and scientists worked together in the glow of red alarms. Every corridor buzzed with energy, every hand covered in oil and blood. No one spoke of surrender. No one even whispered it. The silent fleet had one purpose: to fight back, no matter the cost. In the control hall, Admiral Keon, the last surviving member of the World Defense Council, appeared on the holographic screen. His uniform was torn, his face bruised, but his eyes still sharp. "Captain Vale," the Admiral said, "you are now commanding Fleet Cinder, 23 operational destroyers and 4 cruisers. We've lost global communication. You are on your own until further orders." Ryan straightened. "What's the mission, sir?" Keon's voice cracked through static. "Hold the planet. Retaliate if possible. And remember, Earth does not kneel." Then the signal cut. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Only the hum of engines and the soft hiss of recycled air remained. Mara looked at Ryan. "Do we even know what we're fighting? We've never seen their faces." Ryan turned to the main screen. It showed a blurred image, a Voryn ship, massive and cold, shaped like a blade. "We don't need to see their faces," he said. "Their fire already told us what they are." Hours passed. Outside, the wind howled against the mountain tunnels as the last of the fleet prepared to launch. Technicians loaded warheads, calibrated engines, and prayed quietly under their breath. Ryan walked through the hangar decks. He saw men and women in torn uniforms, some still bleeding from earlier attacks. But their eyes burned with something powerful, hope mixed with fury. He paused near a mechanic who was welding armor plates. "First time you've seen a real warship?" Ryan asked. The young man smiled weakly. "No, sir. First time I've built one that matters." That answer stayed with him. When the siren finally sounded, the mountains split open. Massive doors slid aside, revealing a tunnel that led straight into the white morning sky. Snow fell like ash as the first ship lifted, engines roaring, leaving a glowing trail behind. Ryan's voice came through every communicator in the base. "This is Captain Vale," he said calmly. "The enemy believes we are broken. The enemy believes we will run. Let's prove them wrong." One by one, the ships of the silent fleet rose into the air. Their black hulls disappeared into the clouds. The ground trembled beneath the power of human defiance. When they reached the upper atmosphere, Ryan saw it. The wreckage of Earth's defense satellites floating like silent ghosts. Debris drifted past the ship's glass, pieces of what was once humanity's pride. Then came the message from Mars Colony Command. A weak, broken signal, almost lost in static. "They are coming here too. They are burning everything. We can't." The transmission ended mid-sentence. Ryan closed his eyes. There was no safe place left. He looked at Mara. "Set our course for lunar orbit." She hesitated. "That's suicide, Captain." "The Voryn patrol every corridor." Ryan smiled faintly. "Good. Then they'll see us coming." The fleet engines flared brighter. In the dark sky, 27 human ships lined up in a silent formation. For the first time since the invasion began, something beautiful returned to the stars. Human steel, human fire, human will. They called it Fleet Cinder, named for what was left of Earth. And as they moved into orbit, every surviving human satellite picked up the same encrypted broadcast, a message sent from Ryan Vale himself to every survivor still listening. "This is not the end of Earth. We are still here. We are coming." The words spread like lightning across secret radios and underground channels. In bunkers, in tunnels, in shelters, people lifted their heads and listened. They could hear something in the background of the message, engines roaring like thunder. For the first time since the sky broke, humanity felt something new. Not fear, not despair, but fire. As the fleet vanished into orbit, Mara looked back at the planet below. Half the world was still burning. But in that burning she saw a symbol, the shape of a rising sun through smoke. She whispered, "They think we are ashes." Ryan answered, "Then we'll show them how fire is born." And with that, the silent fleet disappeared into the stars, not to hide, but to strike back. The dark side of the moon was quiet. No sunlight, no sound, no life, only shadows drifting across endless grey rock. It was the perfect place to hide, or to ambush. Captain Ryan Vale stood on the bridge of the ECS Vengeance, watching the lunar surface through the glass. Dust floated in slow motion outside as the fleet moved in silence, their engines dimmed to avoid detection. Every human ship ran cold, no signals, no lights. Just black shadows against black space. Mara spoke softly beside him. "Enemy patrols sweep every orbit. If we light up our engines, they'll find us." Ryan nodded. "Then we move like ghosts." Fleet Cinder, 27 ships, drifted across the moon's shadow, their systems on silent mode. They had been in space for 20 hours, running on reserve oxygen and minimal power. The crew was tired, hungry, but their eyes still burned with the same fire they carried from Earth. Suddenly, the radar flickered. A faint signal appeared. A Voryn patrol squadron, 6 ships, scanning near the lunar ridge. Their blue lights shimmered like lightning bugs in the dark. If they found Fleet Cinder, the main alien fleet would arrive within minutes. "Orders, Captain?" Mara asked, gripping the console. Ryan's gaze didn't waver. "We wait until they pass the crater line. That D said we strike." Every crew member tensed. Hands hovered over weapon controls. Engines whispered alive under low power. Through the silence of the void, the alien ships moved closer, unaware of what hid in the dark below. Their hulls glowed faint blue, smooth and curved like blades of glass. They were beautiful and deadly. Ryan whispered through the comms, "All units, stand by." "On my mark." He watched the radar pulse slowly, heartbeat by heartbeat. Then when the Voryn patrol crossed the crater rim, he said 2 words, "Burn them." The silence exploded. Human destroyers ignited their engines, bursting from the shadows like fire dragons. Missiles screamed through the void. Railguns thundered. The first alien ship shattered in a flash of white and blue, debris scattering like falling stars. The other 5 Voryn ships turned fast, their weapons flaring to life. Blue beams cut through the darkness, slicing through one of the human cruisers. The ECS Horizon took a direct hit, spinning out of control before crashing into a lunar ridge. A silent flash marked its end, but Ryan didn't stop. "Keep firing!" he shouted. Human ships weaved through the laser storm, using the moon's surface for cover. They dropped chaff, released heat flares, fired from the shadows, tactics old as war itself. The aliens tried to lock on, but human chaos was unpredictable. They had never fought an enemy that fought dirty. The second Voryn ship exploded under a barrage of plasma torpedoes. The third was rammed by the ECS Hammer, both ships vanishing in a blinding pulse. The battlefield glowed with light and death. Fragments of metal drifted past Ryan's viewport, catching the reflection of Earth far behind. The blue planet looked calm, silent, unaware of the fire being fought above its sky. After 20 minutes, only one alien ship remained. Its engines flickered, trying to escape orbit. Ryan locked onto it. "Target the last one," he ordered. Mara hesitated. "Sir, we're low on ammo." "Then aim for the heart." The main cannon fired once. A bright spear of light cut through space. The alien ship cracked open, its blue core fading to black. Silence returned. The crew cheered quietly, exhausted but alive. For the first time since the invasion began, humanity had won a battle. Mara leaned against the console. "We actually did it," she whispered. Ryan nodded, eyes still on the drifting wreckage. "They can bleed," he said. "They can fall." But before the joy could settle, the communications officer shouted, "Captain! We're picking up new signals." The radar flashed red, multiple contacts emerging from behind the moon. Dozens of ships. The Voryn reinforcements had arrived. Ryan clenched his fists. "They know we're here." Mara looked at him. "What now?" He smiled faintly. "Now. We show them what Earth fire looks like." He ordered all ships to scatter. Fleet Cinder broke apart, weaving through lunar canyons, hiding among debris, vanishing into shadow again. The alien fleet began searching, but they found only silence, echoes and ghosts. Hours passed as both sides played the deadly game of hide and hunt. Finally, when the alien fleet moved toward the far side of the moon, Ryan gave the order. "Retreat to dark orbit. No transmissions, no heat. We vanish." The remaining human ships limped into the shadows once more. Only 13 survived out of 27. The losses were heavy. The silence after battle felt heavier than space itself. In the command deck, Mara stared at the cracked glass of the viewport. "Half the fleet is gone," she said softly. "And for what? A few kills?" Ryan turned to her, his face lit by the dim red light. "For proof," he said. "Proof that they can die. Proof that we are not done." He looked at Earth's reflection again. It was still burning, but now through the smoke. Something flickered, a faint signal bouncing from the moon's surface to deep space. "Captain," the technician said, "we're detecting an unknown transmission." "It's not Voryn, not human either." Ryan's eyes narrowed. "Track it," he said quietly. "Find where it's coming from." The coordinates appeared. It came from far beyond Mars. From a place called Titan Station, the bridge fell silent. The stars outside shimmered cold and distant. Whatever was out there, it was calling for help. Ryan looked at Mara. "Set a course," he said. "Let's find out who's still alive." And as the ships turned their engines toward the deep dark beyond Mars, a new fire began to burn, not of rage this time, but of curiosity and fate. The war for Earth was only beginning. Space stretched endless and cold before the fleet. Stars burned quietly, unaware of the war spreading among them. The human ships moved like shadows, engines dim, systems silent. Their course, the outer edge of Saturn. For 3 days, the fleet drifted through darkness. There were no signals from Earth, no new orders, only the faint hum of engines and the heartbeat of tired men and women. Every few hours, Ryan Vale stood on the bridge, staring at the small, blinking light on the radar. It was weak, distant, but constant. The mysterious signal pulsed every 42 seconds. Old, broken, desperate. But it was not alien. It carried fragments of human code. Mara leaned over her console. "The origin point is Titan Station," she said. Ryan frowned. "That station was shut down years ago. No one's supposed to be there," she nodded. "Yet the signal is real. Someone, or something, wants us to come." The crew whispered rumors through the halls. Some said Titan had been a research base for deep drive engines. Others said it was where the first alien contact was found, long before the invasion. Whatever the truth was, the signal kept calling. On the fourth day, Fleet Cinder reached Saturn's orbit. The view was haunting. The planet's rings glowed faint gold, stretching across the Black Sea like rivers of dust. And there, hidden between the shadows of the rings, hung a small metallic shape. Titan Station, it was silent, cold and broken. Half its structure was torn apart. No power lights, no movement, no life detected. Just that single signal, still pulsing like a heartbeat. Is it a trap? Mara asked. Maybe, Ryan said. But if it's not, there might still be someone alive. The ECS Vengeance detached from the fleet and approached the station. Metal debris floated everywhere. Twisted beams, shattered solar panels, fragments of human dreams. The docking clamps locked with a heavy sound. The airlock hissed open, releasing a thin fog. Inside the station, everything was dead. The corridors were lined with frost. Old posters still clung to the walls. Humanity reaches further. But now the words felt like ghosts. The away team moved in silence, their boots echoing on the metal floor. Their flashlights cut through the dark like small blades of light. At the command deck, they found the source of the signal. A half-broken transmitter running on emergency power. It blinked weakly, repeating the same phrase again and again. Help us project alive coordinates secure. Mara crouched near it. It's human, she whispered. But the system date is 20 years old. Before they could speak more, Ryan's flashlight caught something on the floor. Frozen bodies, dozens of them. Scientists, engineers, all still in their uniforms, their faces locked in cold silence. One of the crew whispered, "They've been here since the station fell." But Ryan wasn't listening. His eyes had caught a different light, a door marked with warning symbols. Restricted. Project Gravity Pulse. He pressed the control panel. The door opened with a long, low groan. Inside was a large, circular chamber filled with strange machinery. Cables hung like vines. At the center, surrounded by frost, was a glowing core. Mara stepped closer, reading from an old console. It says Quantum Pulse Engine. Prototype drive capable of space distortion. She looked up, eyes wide. This thing could move ships faster than light without jump gates. Ryan stared at the core. It could also turn a planet into ash if used wrong. Mara swallowed. So that's why the station was destroyed. They returned to the ship, carrying all data they could save. Ryan gathered the officers in the command room. This engine could change everything, he said. With it we can strike anywhere, even their home systems. Mara looked uncertain. But Captain, using it might expose us. The Voryn will see the energy spike. They'll come. Ryan's voice was quiet but firm. They already know we exist. We either hide until they burn the rest of us, or we make the stars burn brighter. The crew fell silent. They all knew what his choice meant. Hours later, the silent fleet surrounded Titan Station. Engineers worked to install the quantum pulse core into the ECS Vengeance. The hull shook as cables fused and circuits screamed. The system was unstable, wild, but alive. Ready? Mara asked. Ryan looked at the glowing core pulsing like a heart. No, he said. But do it anyway. She activated the drive. For a moment the stars twisted. The entire station shook. The fleet's sensors went blind. Then a silence. Space around them changed. The fleet had moved, not through normal travel, but through folded space itself. They had jumped across millions of kilometers in seconds. It worked. But the cost was high. Every alien sensor in the solar system now knew where they were. Ryan stared at the flashing warnings. They'll be here soon, Mara said. Ryan smiled faintly. Then let them come. The ghosts of Titan just gave us fire. As the warning alarms filled the bridge, the crew watched Saturn's rings glowing outside, like burning halos in the dark. The fleet turned its weapons toward the void. The next wave was coming, and this time Earth wasn't running. The stars were no longer silent. They burned with motion and war. The silent fleet had vanished from Titan's orbit only hours ago, their new engine tearing through space itself. But the jump left scars, a trail of radiation, magnetic shockwaves and echoes that could not be hidden. The Voryn, those cold alien predators, had seen, and now they were coming. Vale stood on the bridge of the ECS Vengeance, staring at the tactical map. Hundreds of enemy signatures glowed in red. They were moving fast, slipping through the dark like hunters drawn to blood. "How long until contact?" he asked. Mara, eyes fixed on her console, whispered, "Less than 2 hours." Maybe less, the crew worked without speaking. They had known this would happen. Ever since Titan's engine came alive, every ship had felt it. The pulse in their bones, the hum of something greater than human technology. Now it was their only weapon. And their greatest danger. The Voryn ships began to appear on the scanners. Jagged shapes. Organic hulls. Living machines. Their formation was tight, perfect, confident. They had never been defeated by humans. Rian turned to his officers. "We can't fight them in open space. We'll lead them to the asteroid field near Enceladus. Hide the smaller ships among the debris. When they pass through, we strike." The orders spread across the fleet. Dozens of ships broke formation, diving toward the frozen field. The asteroids were massive, some as large as cities, others sharp as knives. In their shadows, the fleet became invisible. The Voryn arrived soon after. Their engines burned cold blue. They scanned the field but found nothing. For a moment, space was still again. Then the trap was sprung. The ECS Vengeance fired first. A lance of plasma shot through the darkness, striking the lead alien ship. The explosion tore through its hull, scattering glowing fragments into space. Then the rest of the fleet opened fire. The silent void became a storm. Rockets, lasers, railguns, 1,000 human weapons blazing together. Asteroids shattered from the blasts, turning into clouds of deadly shrapnel. The Voryn responded, their organic ships twisting like serpents, spitting light of their own. Mara's console screamed warnings. "Shields at 40%. Port thrusters failing." "Keep firing," Ryan shouted. The Vengeance shook as alien projectiles slammed into its armor. Sparks filled the bridge, smoke rising from the floor. Out among the debris, smaller human ships danced between asteroids, firing and vanishing before the Voryn could lock on. They moved like ghosts, striking from impossible angles. One by one, alien ships began to fall, but so did human ones. On the ECS Atlas, Commander Ilya pushed his dying ship toward the center of the battle. "Tell Rian, we'll make it count," he said, voice cracking. Then the Atlas rammed a Voryn cruiser head-on, detonating its core. The blast was bright enough to light half of Saturn's rings. Back on the Vengeance, Mara's voice trembled. "Atlas is gone." Ryan's face hardened. "Then we make sure it wasn't for nothing." He activated the quantum pulse core again. This time the drive wasn't just for travel. It could bend the very field of gravity, twist it into a weapon. "Charge the pulse," Ryan ordered. "Captain, the stress will tear us apart," Mara warned. He met her eyes. "Then let it. Just make sure it takes them with us." The ship began to hum, louder and louder, until every plate and bolt screamed in protest. Energy rippled across the hull. The space around the ship warped. Asteroids began to drift toward it, drawn by an invisible pull. The alien fleet noticed. Their scanners flickered in confusion. Some tried to retreat. Others fired wildly. But it was too late. "Now!" Ryan shouted. Mara slammed her hand on the console. A wave of distortion burst from the ECS Vengeance, spreading like a storm through the asteroid field. Space folded, metal screamed. Alien ships twisted and broke apart, their hulls crushed by unseen forces. Even the asteroids were torn in half, frozen fragments spinning away like shattered worlds. When the light finally faded, silence returned. The battlefield was gone, replaced by a graveyard of debris, drifting under the pale light of Saturn's rings. Only a few ships of the fleet remained. The ECS Vengeance floated among them, its hull cracked, engines dying. Mara looked at Ryan. "We survived." "Barely." Ryan stared at the wreckage on the screen, countless alien remains burning in slow motion. "Not survived," he said softly. "We endured." Then, on the long-range scanner, a flicker appeared. A signal, faint but unmistakably human. Mara frowned. It's coming from deep space. Past Neptune, Ryan's eyes narrowed. Can you trace it? She nodded slowly. It's an encrypted code. From the lost colonies. The bridge went silent. For a century, humanity had believed the outer colonies destroyed in the First War. But now, someone was calling back. Ryan turned toward the stars. If they're alive, we're not alone anymore. He gave the order quietly like a prayer. Set course for the signal. The engines flickered to life, pushing the wounded fleet toward the dark beyond. Behind them, Saturn's rings shimmered like burning trails of the fallen. Ahead, the unknown. The fire between worlds had only just begun. The fleet drifted through the silent dark beyond Neptune. Engines burned weakly, hulls scarred from the last battle. Every ship carried the same feeling, hope mixed with fear. Captain Ryan Vale stood before the viewing deck of the ECS Vengeance, watching the far edge of the solar system fade behind them. It had been 3 weeks since the battle near Saturn. 3 weeks since they had seen any sign of the Voryn, but now something else had found them, a signal that refused to die. It came as a faint hum through the static, a coded pulse repeating every 13 seconds. Old human, unmistakable. Mara adjusted the filters. The signal's origin is moving, she said quietly. It's not a planet, it's a ship. Ryan's eyes narrowed. A ship out here? The crew exchanged uncertain looks. Human vessels hadn't operated beyond Neptune in over 100 years. Those who tried were never heard from again. Track it, Ryan ordered. Hours passed. The signal grew stronger, the tone clearer. Then suddenly, it shifted. A voice broke through. This is colony ship Horizon, requesting any surviving Terran fleet. We are alive. The bridge fell silent. Everyone froze. Ryan took a slow breath. Open a channel. Static filled the room for a moment, then the voice returned, tired, old, but human. Horizon to any Terran vessel. We held the line at Proxima Gate. If you hear this, we endured. The name struck everyone. Proxima Gate, the first interstellar jump point humanity ever built. It was supposed to be destroyed in the first invasion. But if someone had survived there... Set a course, Ryan ordered. We're going to find them. The fleet turned toward the coordinates, engines roaring to life once more. For the first time in decades, human ships left the solar system, not as refugees, but as a fleet reborn. Days passed in uneasy quiet. The deeper they went, the stranger the void became. Nebulae shimmered like frozen oceans. Wrecks of old ships drifted like ghosts. Some carried human markings, others did not. Mara leaned closer to her console. Captain, I'm detecting fragments of unknown material in the debris fields. Energy readings don't match Voryn tech. Ryan frowned. Something else was here. The further they traveled, the more wreckage they found. Hybrid ships, twisted designs combining alien and human engineering. It was as if two civilizations had been forced to build together. Then the horizon appeared. At first, it looked like an asteroid. Then its hull lights flickered on, thousands of faint blue lamps lining the structure. The ship was massive, larger than any human vessel still in service. Its metal was scarred, its engines silent, but it was alive. Signal confirmed, Mara said, her voice barely a whisper. It's the real Horizon. Ryan ordered the fleet to hold position. Then he and a small team took a shuttle toward the ancient ship. The docking bay was covered in frost. Doors creaked open slowly, revealing a corridor lined with emergency lights. They entered, rifles ready, eyes scanning every shadow. Then they heard footsteps, not mechanical, human. A figure stepped into the light, an older woman in a faded Terran uniform, her insignia almost worn away. Her eyes met Ryan's, filled with disbelief. You came, she said softly, after all this time. You came back. Ryan lowered his weapon. Captain Ryan Vale, Terran Defense Fleet. We picked up your signal. The woman smiled weakly. Captain Ilara Wren, commanding officer of the Horizon. We never stopped transmitting. We thought Earth was gone. She led them deeper into the ship. Inside, hundreds of survivors worked in silence. Engineers, soldiers, even children born among the stars. Their faces carried years of exhaustion and resilience. Ilara showed them the core chamber. In its center pulsed a strange device, part human, part alien. This kept us alive, she explained. It's not just power. It's something else. It learns, it remembers. Rian stared at it. The hum sounded eerily familiar. The same frequency as our quantum pulse core, Mara whispered. Ilara nodded. We built it from the remains of a fallen Voryn ship. It changes the field of space around us. We thought we were safe. She paused, her face darkening. Until they came, an alarm blared through the horizon. Red lights flashed along the corridor. A voice came over the intercom. Contact! Multiple signatures inbound. Unknown origin. Ryan turned sharply. Are they Voryn? Ilara's face turned pale. No, worse. Through the ship's viewport, a shape emerged from the darkness. It wasn't alien. It was human-built but twisted, reforged with alien metal. Its hull bore the mark of Earth's own flag, melted and scarred. Mara's voice trembled. That's one of ours, Ilara nodded grimly. The Voryn captured human fleets long ago. Now they send them back against us. Outside, the corrupted Terran ships powered up their weapons. The horizon's lights dimmed. Ryan stood still, jaw tight. They thought Earth would run, he whispered, eyes narrowing as the enemy drew closer. But our fleet burns harder. The bridge shook with the first impact. Alarms screamed through both fleets. The war, the true war, had just found them again. Space burned, not with light, but with vengeance. The corrupted Terran ships descended upon the horizon, their weapons glowing like dying suns. Each one carried the mark of Earth, now twisted by alien hands. They were once humanity's pride, now its nightmare. Captain Ryan Vale stood on the bridge of the ECS Vengeance, watching the horror unfold. The fleet they thought they'd lost had returned. But not as friends, Mara, he said quietly. Link us to the horizon's core. If their tech can speak to ours, maybe we can fight back. Mara's fingers flew across the console. Linking systems now. The ship trembled as the alien-human frequencies began to merge, two hearts beating in sync. On the horizon, Captain Ilara Wren watched her crew take battle positions. They had lived a century in hiding, fighting shadows. Now their ghosts had come to claim them. Target the corrupted ships, she ordered. Fire on my mark. But before she could give the command, one of the enemy ships transmitted a signal, an ancient Earth code. It played through every comm channel, a broken voice beneath static. This is Commander Voryn Vale, of the Terran Vanguard. Ryan froze. That name. Voryn Vale, his father, lost decades ago in the first invasion. The bridge went silent. Mara looked up slowly. Captain, it's him! The voice continued, distorted but clear. They turned us. We fought. We failed. But if you hear this, don't let them take the fire. Then the message ended. No explanation, no mercy. Just the weight of what had been done. Rian clenched his fists. He had spent his life fighting the Voryn, believing they had destroyed his family. But now he saw the truth. They hadn't destroyed them. They had used them. Enough, Ryan said. No more running. No more hiding. We end this here. The Vengeance surged forward, engines glowing bright white. The horizon followed, its hybrid core pulsing like a living sun. Together, they faced the twisted fleet head-on. The battle that followed was beyond anything seen before. Human against human, ships once brothers now enemies. The dark between stars turned into a sea of fire. Mara's voice cut through the chaos. We can overload the link between the cores. If we trigger both pulses at once, it could collapse the space field around us. Ryan didn't hesitate. Do it! Ilara's voice came through the comm. That will destroy both our ships. Ryan answered softly. Then we make sure it counts. The two captains locked eyes through the comm link. No words left, only understanding. The countdown began. 10 seconds. The corrupted fleet closed in. Missiles streaked past, tearing metal and flame. Every heartbeat was a lifetime, 5 seconds. The pulse cores screamed with power. The stars themselves seemed to bend away from the light. 3. Ryan thought of Earth, of the cities left burning, the oceans gone silent. He thought of his father's voice in the static. 2. He whispered, for Earth. 1. The cores detonated together. A wave of blinding light tore through the void. Space folded. Time cracked. Every corrupted ship was crushed in an instant, their hulls turning to ash in the white fire. The Horizon and the Vengeance vanished in the same blaze. Silence returned, but far away. On the moon base of Luna Prime, a sensor came alive. A pulse appeared on the radar, at first faint, then growing. The same quantum signature as the Vengeance. Inside the command room, a young officer stared at the readings. "Sir, we're getting a signal." "From deep space. Origin?" the commander asked. The officer swallowed. "Unknown, but it's human." The commander stepped closer, his voice barely a whisper. "Patch it through." Static filled the speakers. Then a voice, faint, familiar, calm. "This is Captain Ryan Vale." The fire still burns. The room went silent. The commander stood frozen, then smiled because Earth had survived. Because somewhere beyond the broken stars, humanity's fire still roared, and in that moment, every surviving ship on Luna Prime received the same message. They thought Earth would run, but our fleet burned back harder. The stars shimmered with light again, and the second great uprising of humankind began.